Hello and welcome to the 26th Cashmere Goat Yarn podcast. I am Iris and today I have a really special guest. This is Pat Harpell. She is a friend of the shop and she does some really amazing work here in Maine with the Maine Fibershed, and we thought it would be really fun to share those doings with our yarn loving audience. So hi, Pat.
Hello, Iris. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having everyone who works in the Maine Fibershed, who I will stalwartly represent.
Yes, yes. And what are you wearing?
I am wearing the Edie t-shirt, knit in Baremu. I've made about 3 or 4 of these from various fabrics you can pet as much as you want. From hemp and cotton to wool and linen, and it's just a great.
It's got a little bit of a textured stitch.
Yeah.
Is that a linen stitch or no?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, just a little slip
It's
stitch
the
over.
stitch that was in the pattern.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, and it looks like top down.
It is a top down.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
Awesome.
grand. It's grand.
And it's very soft.
And it's very soft.
I am wearing the Love is Love wrap by Alice Dunn Smith, and this is with Malabrigo Machida in the ivory, and on the round this is the Roy G. Biv mini skein set. I think there's actually one more color maybe that didn't get into this just because I didn't need it, but yes, fun, lots of little textury bits to keep things interesting, and it's a really nice shape because it kind of just lays on my shoulders in a nice way. It's a nice flat, and so it's easy to wear it more as a scarf or over my shoulders. Maybe I'll keep it off right now.
Yeah. Yes, the first thing I did when I walked in the door was pet her scarf.
Yeah, it's very squishy and soft. And I've also seen it knit up in a solid colorway. It looks really nice, just a different look. I'm just want to get started with Fibershed,
right.
and then maybe we can talk about what we're knitting at the end.
Okay,
all right.
Great. So I don't know how many of your viewers know what a Fibershed is, but the analogy that I usually make is that most of us know what a watershed is, right? So if we take care of the water supply in our region, it helps with soil, it helps with health, it helps with all the beings who live here. And most of us know what a food shed is, and we care about where our food comes from. And we're very careful about, if we have the opportunity, of where our food comes from. And a Fibershed abides by those tenets. So it was conceived by Rebecca Burgess, who...
Hold it up a little closer.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who years ago decided that she wanted to know what it was like for her to source her clothing within a 150-mile radius of where she lived in California. And she found that that was very difficult to do with all natural fibers and local people, because what she wanted to do, what every Fibershed does, is our goal is to increase income equality throughout the life cycle, the entire cycle of a Fibershed. And the people who suffer the most are the farmers. So, to steal from a famous thing is, for us, it's no farm, no fiber. And the closer you can get, the more economic viability the farmers have. So everything we do starts from there. The Maine Fibershed started in February of 2023. We were admitted in as a bona fide affiliate of Rebecca's Fibershed.
Like national level.
International.
So cool.
Yeah, so the Fibershed is now an international organization. We have the benefit of the knowledge and resources that are underway with them. They are doing things on local, national, and international levels. For example, the Slow Fashion Caucus that our Congresswoman Pingree just launched in Congress last month. Fibershed is a major component of that.
Super cool.
And MaineFibershed has just been invited into that.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be working with both their Slow Fashion Caucus as well as Sustainable Agriculture Caucus. Not caucus, but Sustainable Agriculture Group. So the fibers that you use in your life affect the environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of as simple as that, but also as complex as that. So a lot of people ask how I got into this, and they assume it's because I knit or sew or, but it's actually because I'm a retired clinical herbalist.
Okay.
And people would come to me with conditions that they'd had for years and couldn't be solved, like urticaria, rashes, or lung issues that couldn't be solved. And so I start always with their environment, and found that a lot of people were wearing polyesters
Mm-hmm.
and spandex and all the things that are made of plastic. And people are exercising in plastic.
And
so
sweating.
So what happens when you exercise, your pores open and the sweat comes out, but also anything that you're wearing on your second skin. We are the only species that I know of who needs clothing to survive, no matter where you are on the planet.
Wow.
And so you have to be very careful about what you put on your skin. And when we changed that environment, when we changed their second skin to natural fibers, their long-standing issues started to go away.
Wow.
And
So really systemically
it's
impacting.
systemically impacting. So, and also all of the plastic fibers in the world, we now have, for people old enough to remember, that's me, which is me. In the 70s, acid rain was a big thing, and which led to the Clean Air Act amendment. And right now, there is not a place on this planet that does not have plastic rain.
Oh.
So every time you wash something made of plastic, it goes into the water supply, it goes into the ocean, it evaporates, and it rains down on us.
Wow.
So it is, we can't do anything about what we've done in the past. I mean, sure, I own fleece, I own, rayon, I own some of those things, is to keep that out of the landfills.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward, trying to have as natural fibers as you can, and to reuse what you have for as long as you can to keep it out of the landfills. So it sounds like, Fibershed, that's so sweet. But it's really an environmental impact. And what we live by is this. Yeah.
And this is a little bit small, and so while we talk about this, I'm just gonna do some fancy post-production and pop the image in so you can have it on the screen while Pat talks about it.
Oh, good. So I can just I
you
can blather on. I can
relax.
blather on.
Yeah.
So the Fibershed starts with farmers, and the farmers are both plant and animal farmers who raise our fiber.
Okay.
And so it's sheep and goats and bunnies and sometimes dogs, and cotton and flax in Maine. And we're starting to reinvigorate the flax industry. That's something that we want to do as MaineFibershed, is to, Maine used to have one of the biggest flax industries in the country, and we were known for our flax textiles.
Really?
And then they got shipped offshore,
Okay.
to where it was cheaper. But yeah, which puts me down another bunny hole, which is also that the fashion industry is the third largest polluter in the world.
Oh my gosh.
And the second largest for bad working conditions. So, if something's really inexpensive, wonder if you would want anyone in your family working in that environment.
Yep.
So farmers also grow our dye material. All right, so they're going to be growing indigo and weld and madder and harvesting marigolds and everything else, usnea and carrot tops and onions and all of those things that if you put them on your skin, you will not have chemicals on you. So again, it's from a consumer's point of view, question where your fiber comes from. There is organic cotton that is dyed with chemicals, right? So it can say organic cotton, and they're allowed to advertise it that way, but then the chemicals on it are polluting waterways throughout the world, actually.
Yeah, wow.
And garments are made still, even in LA. California just changed this law, but up until last month, garment workers were making 5 cents a seam and 20 cents a zipper and trying to make a living on that.
Wow.
So this is a systemic issue of people not ever questioning where their fibers come from.
Yep.
And once we start questioning that as a grassroots endeavor, they're going to change, because this is all about supply and demand, or demand and supply.
Right.
So from the sheep and the cotton, from our farmers, if everything starts from an organic perspective, it can go all the way around this circle that you're looking at and go back into the earth as compost.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Instead of the landfill.
Instead of a landfill. You know, I grew up where once we had felted the heck out of all of our sweaters, by accident, of course, we laid them down in our vegetable gardens, and that was mulch.
Yep.
And MaineFibershed is currently working to get a wool pelletizer in our state. We're one of the only states in New England who doesn't have one. So waste wool, which farmers don't make any money on currently, can be an income source for farmers and a fertilizing source for both home gardeners as well as big ag.
Wow. So, like, do you have the show and tell of that?
Oh, I do have the show and tell of that somewhere in this fabulously large pile.
There's a great pile next to Pat's.
Okay.
It's there somewhere.
So, okay, these are the pellets. These are from the Western Massachusetts Fibershed. This is a wee little bag. Obviously, you can buy them. This is kind of funny. I had mentioned wool pellets at a meeting I was at a couple of years ago here. And the person looked at me and they said, "You're crazy." And I said, "This is true. However, this is also reality. Like, this is being used in the rest of the world and other states."
And so tell me about, like, so this is the waste wool in the, like, a processing facility, let's say, or something, right?
So when, depending on the breed of sheep that's raised, when the sheep are shorn,
Yep.
there's between 10 and 50% of the wool cannot be processed. It's too short, it's too full of VM,
Vegetable matter.
vegetative matter, which includes lots of sheep poop.
Great for fertilizer, as it turns out.
Great for fertilizer. And
So cool.
so the farmers have been storing this in bags, or I was talking to them about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, and we throw it in our ditches and on our roads to stop erosion." I'm like, wait. And so we are advocating also for.
So that's amazing. So that's something that we're trying to get a pelletizer in Maine, so that would it be through MaineFibershed that farmers?
Well,
would
we
be
will
able
help
to,
them. No, so MaineFibershed is someone who connects this circle. And also goes after funding and grants.
Cool.
On behalf of anyone in that circle.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So, and our goal is to take out the middleman and bring this back into local shops, local producers, so that the money isn't going out of the state and taking away basically livelihood from our sources. So we're looking at that. I just spoke to the Jacob Sheep Breeders Association this past weekend, and people were there nationally, and people were all on board with, okay, I'm bringing one to my state.
Cool.
So we are, one of MaineFibershed's goals is to get sourcing and donations and funding to get a wool pellet machine installed in one of our mills.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
The other thing that we're doing is, instead of landscape fabric, by the way, landscape fabric isn't fabric, it's plastic. So we're putting plastic down, sometimes between our crops, and then letting all that good PFAS plastic, microplastics seep right into our vegetable roots and everything else. And it doesn't go away. What it does is it it will say biodegradable, but it is not compostable. So biodegradable means it just gets smaller and smaller particles, which eventually end up as plastic rain. So there is also we're also looking at getting in a felting machine for waste wool.
Okay.
So that this can be laid down between crops.
Oh my gosh.
And used in soil and water conservation commissions, so that they are no longer laying down landscape design, or in the Maine preservation, all of the groups that are preserving Maine coastline and Maine preserves and all of that, they laid down plastic on the trails. And
that'll be
that's
such an improvement, especially with the mission of
an improvement. Yeah. And so then, and so wool will hold up to 25% of its weight in water. And so let's talk about all of the water issues that we have, right? All the flooding,
yes,
all of the deterioration, let alone mud season, right? And so you lay down wool, either these sheets or actually lay down the pelts, the raw wool, and put over, a little bit of gravel, a little bit of wood chips, whatever that company normally uses. It reduces the cost of doing the trails, and it rebuilds the soil. So it is a soil remediation issue, and wool is also 50% carbon. So it does carbon sequestration instead of releasing greenhouse gases.
Wow.
Things that we just have never thought about.
And I mean, I'm thinking from thinking reusability as well. So, as a home gardener, just whatever, in my small little veggies, we've done the layers of newspaper with straw on top, and great, because newspaper is getting recycled, whatever, but there is ink leaching in from that process. And on the other hand, where I'm thinking what's great about that method is it does help me water a heck of a lot less because it's holding in moisture. But like, imagine if at the end of the season, then I could roll up my cloth, shake it out, and I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it could, or you just let it decompose and feed the soil. And a question that I often get asked is, how long does it last? And it depends on the application and the soil, but it's usually around 6 months.
Okay.
And most of it will be decomposed. So in Maine, that is the growing season.
Yeah.
And
so cool.
What's left over, I truly enjoy in the spring when all of the birds are coming in to see little tufts of leftover wool in their beaks. And so knowing that they have nice fleece lined
They're part of the circle.
They're part of the circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here to not just look after ourselves, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah.
I love it.
So it's, again, change your fiber and you can change the climate. Change your fertilizers and you can change the climate. By the way, to finish that story about, the people thinking that I was crazy, which is true, they came up to me, it was last year sometime, or at the beginning of this year, and they're like, Pat, have you ever heard of wool pellets? I saw them at Lowe's. And I'm like, just get a little bit closer. Just a little. I won't hurt a lot, but I'm gonna hurt it. So, not until it was at Lowe's that people believed in it.
Yep.
But these are being used around the world. Laying down wool on trails, laying down wool for erosion control, for water management. So
incredible.
It's incredible. And we're just trying to both catch up, and because Maine has one of the most aggressively, in a good way, PFAS remediation programs currently in legislature, that people are calling Maine, other states are wondering what they do with PFAS because they know it's coming soon to their, to a group near them. And Maine is saying like, we're kind of making it up as we go along. So this is a chance for Maine to lead the way in how to remediate PFAS.
Yep.
Wow. And by the way, just raw wool makes a great oil. It will sop up oil spills. plant a few mushrooms on that, you have one of the biggest oil spill remediation devices, and they decompose, and while they're decomposing, they decompose the oil spill.
Oh my God.
So we just are stuck in buying processes that are detrimental to the environment.
Right.
So from the, going back to our diagram here, is that a lot of people think, oh, this is a good time for this.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people think that they're allergic to wool.
Oh.
And what they're actually allergic to is, you can't touch this one.
I just have to like bring, like, look at these.
Those are Wensleydales. That's Wensleydale locks. And then, so these are about 60 or 70 of the farmers and types of fabric and
the places where they're
from, and the kind of wool and bunnies and
like, yes, there's scratchy wool on here, and there's also very soft.
So like this is Navajo churro, and I use this when this is actually something that I put together over which I make I weave nice fiber to make a rug.
Okay.
So this is gonna last
super
a
strong.
long time. Yeah, and it's not against my skin.
Yeah.
Although I would put that in an overcoat. Here's some beautiful Gotland from Wells, Maine.
Also a little rougher.
A little bit rougher.
But here's the fin that we were touching before from Turner. And the fin is really
soft.
beautiful.
For me, that like gets right up there with Cashmere.
Wow.
And then these are Jacob sheep. And this is all natural. This is not dyed. Jacob sheep have this fabulous coloring.
Everybody's all about the marling.
Yeah,
and
well,
Jacob sheep's been doing that.
They've been marled
just by itself.
They've been marled for decades. And there are some land-raised Jacob sheep still in Maine. So, you know, there's everything, and we hang these up. This is Icelandic wool, which when we get to what we're making, this is for any of you who have ever touched Lopi and thought it was thought it was scratchy. That has to do with the processing. And I mean, and I'm an Icelandic wool fanatic.
But that was soft. Like
this is soft.
I'm gonna.
This
like,
is
this
against
is like
the
against
wrist.
my neck, no problem. And wow.
This is from this one is from Dedham, Maine, but Morat Hill Farms also raises Icelandic sheep. They're up in Troy, Maine, and their yarn is delicious. It like literally, I will sit on the couch and just
snuggle it.
Yeah, because life is short. You better do it. And this is more Jacob sheep from Gray, Maine. So we have these fabulous farmers with bodacious animals. Here's a nice little bit of some donkey. This is from Beauchemin Farm in Warren, Maine.
Cool.
So yeah. So don't be fooled.
Like, there's a lot of fiber happening here in Maine.
There's a lot of fiber happening here in Maine, and we want consumers to get closer to it and find out where they can get it. You carry some beautiful, which I'll go through. I've knit some really beautiful garments out of the Dooryard farm that you carry here. And Dooryard. I always want to say yard door. And so then anyone can get in touch with me through the Maine Fibershed, MaineFibershed.com.
I'll make sure to put all these links in the little description.
And just say like, I want some of this, or where do I find that? And we will hook you up with a farmer.
So great.
Or a farmer's market. So after the dyeing and all of that, then we get to what most people think of a fiber shed as, which is, you know, then there's the spinners and the weavers and the knitters and the crocheters and the designers, all of that. I am not true to just only using Maine designers, although, you know, I do a lot actually. And garment making. So there's a whole bunch of people making fabric actually, and then making their garments from that. So weaving their own fabric from local wool and then creating their dresses, their shirts, their skirts, their coats.
Incredible.
It's incredible. So the Maine heritage is rich with, one of our biggest issues is that we would talk about a fiber shed, and people who moved here in the 1600s or whatever, 1700s, they're like, that's how we've been living all along. We are the fiber shed. I'm like, I know, but this is a way to educate the world on what most New Englanders were raised this way. Yeah. So, and then from garments, maybe 30, 40, 50 years later, I'm sure some of you have garments that were made by your grannies or great grannies, and they're still around. If this entire process, if this entire soil to soil process has not introduced chemicals, they can go back in the ground. They can go back in the ground as compost. I have thrown things into my compost bin. Sometimes at the end of it, when I've laid down all the raw wool in my yard, and I'll also just take raw wool that's full of VM and full of lanolin and lay it down, stretch it out and lay it down, and put a little bit of wood chips over it so it doesn't look like I slaughtered something in the backyard, because it looks pretty woolly back there. Slugs don't like it.
Ooh.
Bonus.
Yes.
Bonus points.
Oh my God.
And it both holds the water when it rains too much recently, and it slowly lets it go through. It releases it slowly. And then when it's dry as it was a few weeks ago, you can water it. I water the wool. I water the wool, and then it just slowly does a slow release into the soil.
And I'm guessing that your watering regimen through like a drought time would be like, you water the wool, and then it's like probably a few days before you're even
at least a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had unseasonably hot weather, and I had just planted a lot of things and laid down the wool and watered the soil, and then watered the wool and covered it up with just that much mulch. So by the way, you can also get away with much less mulch than you've ever purchased. And the soil was still fine. It was still great. I know.
It's amazing.
Thank you, sheep.
Yes.
And angoras, and it's anything that has a good lanolin content will be great. And actually any of the natural products can be laid down. I have put down old linen and pure cotton garments that just weren't they shrink in my closet over the winter.
It's crazy.
Have you ever had
about closets?
Yeah, they just make things.
Shrinking machines.
The shrinking machines in the closet.
You pull it out and you're like, oh, I guess you shrunk.
I didn't know that was beyond my closet.
No, it happens in other closets too.
So the goal is to raise awareness. Let's raise awareness about our fiber choices. Be as specific and caring about your fiber choices as you are about your food, because your largest organ of absorption is your skin. This is taught from elementary school onward, that it matters what you put on your skin, and your skin is nothing more than, it is no different than the soil that we walk on. We're all little microcosms of the earth. And so this is our earth, all right? Wow. And so we have to treat it well, which is why we want to hydrate it and not put chemicals on our skin and all of that. So that's the overview that I have, I guess.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, and there's the University of Vermont has done a lot of research, UVM Sustainable Agriculture, on the pellets.
Okay.
You can find that on YouTube. I can send you links.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, if people are interested in the science behind all of this and all the research papers, MIT has an amazing research resource for exactly what we're talking about.
Cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, send me the links and then I can pop them in for people that really want a deep dive. That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be a deep dive.
And I will definitely also have the book, the Fibershed book.
Yeah. There's another book called Second Skin, written by India Flint. And she's an amazing natural dyer out of Australia. And even if you can just get it to your library, actually I know the Rockport Library just ordered it.
Ooh,
so
cool.
or ask your library to get it. And it goes in detail about how we're so vulnerable, and that your choices about your dyes and your fabrics, what you lay on your skin, is critical.
Wow.
All right.
Awesome.
Phew, that's what I got.
I love it. I love it so much. Let's have some show and tell.
Okay. So this is one that just came off my needles. This is Wensleydale wool from Integrity Farm. And this is Franklin. Franklin and I have a little love affair going on.
Love it.
So here's what Franklin's Human wrote about Franklin. I live with my friend Jumpin' Jack Flash, and our place is right next to the garden. We always ask our shepherd if we can get some garden goodies when it is harvest time. We get first dibs on most things because we are so polite.
Oh, love
so
that.
What I did with, this is one of the garments that I just finished. It is a vest.
Ooh.
This is the
Beautiful.
It's so silky soft.
So silky soft.
and it's light and warm. And this is actually a Hohi Locatelli pattern called Gossamer, which this is not Gossamer. But normally, she had the seams open, so it was more of a Ruana.
Okay.
And I just sewed it up because I don't like things flapping around me.
And this just feels like it's going to be a just absolutely cozy hug.
Yeah, it is. And then the buttons, I'm going to take out the wool and put in some nice maroon, sew them on with some maroon embroidery thread. But they're from a local consignment shop.
Oh, cool.
And they're pretty stunning.
Love it.
So
beautiful. It feels so soft. And that'll be perfect.
Yeah. And then made from Dooryard, I have a couple of garments here. This is kind of my sweatshirt in the winter.
We all have those cozy, like
this
it's
is
like
super cozy.
Your house, almost like you're just like it's my second skin in the winter.
It's my second skin in the winter, or for me, it's like third, fourth, and fifth. But yeah, so I mean, literally, I do wear merino undershirts. And this is a Mary Jane Mucklestone pattern, whose name I forget the name of the pattern, but super easy to make. And what I really love about it is, yes, it is, you're carrying the wool, so you're carrying the yarn, so it's very warm. But she said, oh, heavens, just tie them off at the seam.
Huh?
Yes.
Awesome.
Just tie them.
Love it.
And then this is the other garment that I made from your...
So Dooryard Farm has Sheep's Natural, and unfortunately we don't have any more of the dark brown because I think those sheep are no longer with the flock, but we do have the natural color that you're seeing right here, which is...
And this is a nice little grampy sweater called Little Wave, and this is from Bristol Ivy.
Look at
pattern.
The pockets!
Oh yeah!
Oh my gosh!
Make my pockets big.
And beautiful stitch work.
So yeah, it is just, and the buttons are even from Cashmere Goat.
Oh.
Kristen helped me choose the buttons.
Kristen is like the queen of button choosing. I mean,
the queen of button choosing.
If you ever
I would
happen
never
to
would
need
have
buttons, like don't come in on a, I mean, I will help you with buttons, but Kristen has a gift. I sort of like, okay, I'll
do it. And I was going down this like, I need leather buttons or wooden buttons. She goes, oh, no, you need these.
I like that.
And she was right. So.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And what size needles like for that?
Oh, geez, you think I remember?
I don't know. It's just roughly like 8s.
I did the body in 8, and it actually came out too big. I will probably rip this out.
Oh, wow.
And redo it. The yarn is that good. I have ripped out entire garments and, just soaked it, hung it, and used it again, and it's ready to go. that says a lot about the yarn.
It does. And the price on that yarn is really reasonable.
Really reasonable. Oh, and there's another thing is that people say, oh, I can't afford the local yarn. So just, so they have to pasture the animals. They have to feed the animals. And we have small flocks. We're not like thousands of
like out
sheep
west
or in Uruguay or Venezuela or all the other places, South Africa, where we still purchase this country still purchases a lot of wool. So they have to pasture them, feed them. They have vet bills. They have to shear them. They have to pay for scouring. They have to pay to have it milled, and these are small, kind of like your small scale farmer that you buy your food from. And you're willing to pay a little bit extra for good food,
right?
A little bit extra for your local farmer's livelihood.
Yep,
is a nice thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I have a little show and tell.
Good.
I have been working on, first, let's do the book first. So I was recently away for a few days in Vermont, visiting with some dear friends, and this is one of my favorite knitting friends. We've gone on little trips, and when we get together, we have bags and bags of projects and finished objects and unfinished objects and patterns we want to knit, and then we always bring book lists and we exchange book ideas, fiber related and just general. So there's a lot of note-taking and notebooks, and my friend Barbarina recommended this book to me, The Lost Flock, and I bought a used copy. It's by Jane Cooper, and the subtitle is Rare Wool, Wild Isles, and One Woman's Journey to Save Scotland's Original Sheep. And I'm super excited. And then I was like, it came yesterday, and I was like, oh, I bet Pat has read this book. So
yeah, get the book. It's great. The landrace sheep are still in Maine in abundance. So Nash Island Janice has been tending them since late 60s, early 70s. And the sheep are not like, oh, let's go cuddle the lambs. The sheep are like, humans. Ugh. Yeah. Oh my God, here they are again.
Here they are again.
Oh my God, what are they doing here? And so, their way of herding the sheep for shearing is, you get a bunch of people and, you run through the fields. And you go after the sheep, and the sheep are like, get away from them. So, and, they do their own shearing. Wow. They're amazing. I do recommend, if you just want eye candy, go on Starcroft. I think it's Starcroft or Nash Island, Starcroft Mill. And Janice takes the most beautiful pictures I've ever seen of her sheep on lobster boats. It doesn't get more Maine than that. So, yeah, and sheep with lighthouses in the background, and sheep in the fog. But these sheep are sturdy. They're sturdy.
Probably
they're
like
wool.
Scottish sheep too.
Yeah,
right?
they're. I don't remember the breed. I don't remember where they originally came from. I do believe the story is on her website. And then there's Jacob sheep that were on Butter Island for a long while. They were the original Jacob sheep brought in through Canada.
Because you put your sheep on an island, no need to put a fence up.
No need to put a fence up.
No predators.
Right. And they become sturdier, and their wool is sturdier. Their wool is more waterproof, like the Icelandic wool. I was in Iceland doing glacier hiking last year, and all I had on with wind and rain and snow going sideways was a couple of Loki sweaters and some merino long johns, and I did not get wet.
Perfect.
And people had on their raincoats, and they were wet right through.
Made of plastic.
Made of plastic. No, I mean, I have a plastic raincoat too. Okay.
I'm just kidding.
But that because the wool isn't over processed, it does everything that you've ever been told about wool. It repels water.
Perfect.
And you just shake it out and you throw it on the floor and it dries, and then you get it for the next day.
Incredible.
Yeah. So again, the giving sheep their due reward is of how amazing, not just sheep, I always say sheep, but I mean all of those fuzzy ones. The trick for humans is to not overuse them.
Yeah.
Overconsume them.
Overconsume. So I have a project that I'm working on, and you do too. So I'm working on my Irish Rover pullover.
Ooh.
And it's by Teti Lutzak.
Look at that.
So it has like front, I think I'm in the middle of the row, I think. So front panel.
That's gorgeous.
And then side.
Oh my God, this is lovely.
And these are all like right crosses and left crosses, so it's like no cable needles involved, but you kind of get this really beautiful texture. And this is in the new, it's Barocco, it's millstone tweed, and it feels really soft. And then it has the side panel has like a little bit at the bottom, and then just stockinettes. And I have the pattern is in my mind now, so I don't have to constantly be a slave to my paper. Yeah. And this is maybe I'm the last person to do this, but I finally was like, I wanted to be free of the papers and the check marks and which row am I on. And so I'm doing the like very low tech. I mean, I have a stitch counter and I use that. It's on another project though, but I have a 4-row repeat. And so at the beginning of my round, I have 4 stitch markers. And so right now I can see that I'm on the 3rd row because I have just 3 stitch markers. And then when I get to round 4, here's my beginning of the round, and this is where my extra ones live at the bottom hem. And I'll just add this to my little
I
chain.
love it.
And it's low key, low tech, easy to know where I am.
Easy to know where you are. Yeah.
So that's me. What do you got going on?
Well, I have a wee little thing going on. So I'm actually in the middle of a test knit, which I wasn't allowed to bring.
Too secret, but can you at least tell us the designer?
The designer is Nora Gahn. And the pattern will be released early September.
We'll have to watch for that.
Yeah.
Are you having a good time with the pattern?
I love the pattern.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the pattern. And we're actually, I'm actually registered it as Maine Fibershed.
Cool.
So I'm using a beautiful Shetland wool that I had in stash. Actually, that Melissa Micah had in stash. So I'm using up her yarn.
Perfect.
And I am making too bad you just can't feel
you
things.
You can't reach through the screen and give it a squish. Because...
But I am doing this is Lopi that was spun in Maine. This is Morit Hill. They sell online. It's his own Icelandic, and this is a breed one. So he, combined all of the different sheep and spun it.
It's so beautiful too in person. I don't know if the camera can capture it, but just like blends from light brown to whitish to gray to darker gray. So pretty.
And it is, again, it's neck and wrist soft.
Oh.
So my swatches, I don't know, this could be blasphemous, I don't know. I swatch with either a sleeve or a hat so that I have something other than a square that I wonder what to do with at the end of the day. Yeah. And the other thing is that I have really sensitive wrists. So when I swatch with a sleeve, I either then have a sleeve that I can just continue on with and makes me happy. Or I do cheat a little bit. Sometimes I'm like, it's really not at gauge. And I will just switch needles in the middle of it. Which is like, whatever. You just do it. You just do what you do. Yep. So
perfect.
This is
sounds like it works.
This is it might be a 1960s pattern called Maria, M-A-R-I-A. It's just going to be the 2 colors.
Great.
And
is it color work?
Yeah, it's going to be color work. And The Best of Lopi is a book that Nora Gahn actually helped edit. And I saw it in the library. I took it out of the library, and I'm like, oh, I have all of these old pattern books. I mean, these do go back 50s and 60s and 70s. And so I'm using that. But yeah, the best of Lopi is, you can probably get it at your library. I know that the Camden Library has it.
Cool.
Because I just returned it there.
I love that you're a library supporter as
I
well.
am a big library supporter.
Me too.
And yeah, so one of the things that Maine Fibershed is doing is we're very much focused on educating people. And so if anyone wants a Maine Fibershed talk at their local library, or
because you just gave one at Rockport.
I just gave one at Rockport.
I couldn't.
That's okay.
But
giving talks in the middle of summer, you never know what you're gonna get. Yeah.
But so you would come and talk at a Maine library?
At a Maine library, at it looks like we'll be doing by the way, a trial on soil and water conservation in Waldoboro County.
Oh wow.
And
wait, Waldo County?
Yeah, Waldo.
Yes.
Sorry, Waldo County. So yeah, we're targeting to get 3 good trials for through soil and water conservation groups, so that we're laying down felt and wool instead of landscape cloth.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna drop in the notes below. I'll source all the good links and pattern names and the things we've mentioned, including the website.
Okay.
And that has your email there somewhere, or there's
It's
a contact
there.
form.
You can. Yep. There's a contact
Perfect.
form. The website is under development, but this is way more fun than a website.
And so one of the things I was just wondering, so if people want to sort of like, is there a list to browse of farms? I know you said, that's in development as well.
Yeah, good question. So there's 2 things. One is that we do have a directory, which is very light. But you can go there and it will be under, I think it's under directory. We don't have that many tags, so it's not hard to find. But also Maine Fibershed is part of the Northern New England Fibershed. And because we can't source everything from Maine, sometimes we need the sources that in southern New Hampshire because of climate. Or there's just a hole in our circle.
Okay.
And we can fill it with one of our neighbors.
From the Northern New England.
From Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont.
Nice.
And so they have a directory as well.
Great.
And if you can't find what you're looking for, send an email through the website.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I'm pretty good at responding.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, this has been super informative, and
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so appreciative of your time too, and just really hope that folks are taking away something new that they've learned, or are getting the wheels turning, and maybe you can deep dive into some of these really amazing additional resources. But yeah, just so much information. Great to kind of have that visual too. And
yeah.
So you said you're not going to be at Common Ground Fair
We're not this
fall.
fall.
Are you at the Maine Fiber Frolic?
We were in the Maine Fiber Frolic, which was amazing. I'm going to be in France. I just want to say.
This fall or the spring?
During Common Ground Fair.
During Common Ground Fair. Amazing.
And then the woman from Northern New England Fibershed is getting married. So, we just decided that these life events were good.
Important.
Good life events.
Oh, yeah.
But we are putting together our schedule, and as the infrastructure for Maine Fibershed is built out, which we're pretty close to having. We've got the business plan. We've got pretty much a lot underway. We just have to figure out how to make money. But we are going to be rolling out county by county Maine Fibershed affiliates, because Maine is too big.
Yeah.
Right. There was Rebecca trying to do it in a 150-mile perimeter, and Maine is just massive. So we will be signing on county-specific affiliates to Maine Fibershed that can take advantage of the infrastructure that we've built, as well as the infrastructure available from
continue to build, I'm sure.
Right. From the mothership Fibershed.
Amazing. So that's good.
Yeah.
So is there like a newsletter or social media? Like, how are you getting information
right
out
now
to people?
we're just using Maine Fibershed on Facebook.
Okay.
And the Maine Fibershed community. So Maine Fibershed is kind of it's more high level.
Mm-hmm.
The Maine Fibershed community is where, for example, I will ask for who has resources for the diagram.
Oh, cool.
What are your resources in Aroostook County? What are your resources in Knox-Lincoln counties? So that we can start to see where holes are, so that when we have someone come in to run that county,
Oh, cool.
they're set up for success.
Oh, nice.
We want people to succeed.
So both of those are Facebook?
Both of those are Facebook
Okay.
for now.
Cool. Great.
Yeah. So right now, MaineFibershed we've just named our board, just formed our board, and we're in the process of becoming a 501c3 so that we can accept all of your lovely donations. So yeah, we're getting there.
That's awesome.
We're getting there. Right now, I'm running as fast as I can.
Well, appreciate all of your hard work.
Yeah, my pleasure.
For this very important effort and for what you're doing for Maine, but also the bigger global picture.
It's a passion project.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Really